The tropical wave in the Atlantic starting to get better organized, and impacts are likely to be felt in our area beginning this weekend. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi, my friends. Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We are your home for Caribbean weather. It's nice to see you for this latest video. Hope things are well. Coming up in the video, newest information on the tropical wave. We'll talk about what's been happening with it, what the Hurricane Center is discussing as far as potential development areas, what the models are looking at, and how we can begin to see impact starting later this weekend. Of course, I've got your island by island rainfall forecast for you as well. As always, Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They are hometown homeowners insurance attorneys offering free consultation and policy reviews. They'll walk you through that insurance claim process. You want to check them out? It's leanonmelaw.com for more information. As always, love to hear from you guys. Fantastic weather community we have. Let me know in the comments section below what's been happening in your area. You just want to drop a hi. I appreciate that as well. So we are going to start the video, of course, with our disturbance. X marks the spot. That's where it is right now. The yellow line is from the Hurricane Center for the projected path of this tropical wave to the yellow polygon, which is where they think development is possible, and that is likely to occur in the Caribbean early to mid next week as far east as the Lesser Antilles. Right now that chance is 30%, but I do expect it to go higher. We don't have an invest area as of yet, which means we don't have our tropical spaghetti plot models running, but just looking with the eye, if you will, the eye test, this wave is getting better organized. There's been deeper convection near the center of circulation, which is still broad and mainly at the mid levels, but there's also good moisture content here. There's not a lot of drier air around that center. Your green and blues are the higher moisture laden or higher water content in the atmosphere, and the red is the drier, and there's no dry air intrusion with this system at this point in time. It's really looked a lot better in just the last 24 hours. It was very elongated on Thursday. This is the visible or high resolution visible satellite imagery here at Meteo Mundo. Again, we lose it pretty early this time of the year, but you get the idea that, again, a little bit more consolidation, a little bit better outflow, especially on the eastern and northern sides. You can see that outflow there. If you look at the lower level clouds, it's just a more put together wave at this point in time, but that's all it is right now. So we're going to have to wait to see how this plays out as we get into the weekend. Now, at this point in time, it's still more than 1,000 miles from the Lesser Antilles. However, you can already see there's some moisture well ahead of that that's very disorganized, and that is likely to begin to impact the Lesser Antilles and especially the Windward Islands starting late Saturday, but especially on Sunday. And then secondarily, the wave itself will be coming in late Sunday and into Monday. Now, again, there's not clear consensus that this won't develop into a depression or a tropical storm. In the Hurricane Center yesterday, their development area is farther west. They've pulled it a little bit further east to basically include the Lesser Antilles, saying, hey, look, that's as far east as we think it could be wrapping up. More than likely, it's going to be a wet, sloppy system into the Lesser Antilles here over the weekend and into Monday. But that will still have impacts. It's still going to bring some heavy rain and some gusty wind conditions, and this is an area plagued by that persistent trough over the last 2 days that has seen some heavy rain and storms and flooding already. So there's a lot going on. Now, once the system gets into the Caribbean, almost all models have this developing, and we'll get into that coming up. And the reason why they have it developing is, I know we're getting into the latter half of October, but sea surface temperatures in the Caribbean are still bathwater. These are Celsius. You're at 28, 29, even 30 degrees Celsius. So you're mid to upper 80s Fahrenheit across the entire Caribbean. That's plenty of heat content there at the sea surface to promote not only just a tropical storm, but even higher than that. It's not going to stop this storm from getting as strong as it, environmentally can. Sea surface temperatures are not going to be a factor detrimental to this storm, and there's very little wind shear at this point in time forecast in the Caribbean as well. So as I've mentioned in the last couple of videos, there's a very high likelihood that next week we are going to get a tropical system in the Caribbean. Still a lot of question marks as to exactly where and how strong and where that is going to ultimately track. Of course, it's early on in the game, but we know that, and if nothing else, we're getting some heads up. Now, if you guys see this icon, please ignore that. That's a test system. I have no idea why during hurricane season they like to do some test areas, but it is what it is. I can't do anything about that. I've even spoken to the developer of the system here and said, look, we got to get rid of these test areas. So anyway, ignore that. I'm also just going to drop off the chance of development area so we can clearly see. Now we're going to take this in stages. We're going to basically start to talk about what's going to happen in the Lesser Antilles over the weekend and then move into the Caribbean next week. So between now and Monday, you can clearly see all of the moisture beginning to move in. In a general sense, the farther south you live in the Lesser Antilles, the likely more direct impacts from whatever this is going to be. And regardless of development, it's going to bring some exceptionally heavy rain. It's going to bring some very gusty wind conditions, and it's going to bring some increasing swells, which are likely to go over 3 meters from time to time. But you can clearly see in the model here, the deeper into the weekend that we go, this is Saturday night and then into Sunday, waves of rain begin to come in, especially for places like Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago. Those are the areas with a very southerly low latitude track that this disturbance is likely to bring some exceptionally heavy rainfall. Again, is it complete washout where it just rains for 24, 48 hours in a row? Probably not, but there's a water-loaded atmosphere, and very efficiently we're going to get not only showers but thunderstorms. It's also not going to shock me that we're going to have some 30 to maybe even 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts from time to time. Again, the farther north that you live, Dominica north into the Leeward Islands, likely to get scattered showers. That trough is going to dissipate starting tonight, so the rain chances will be lower there, but you can just see all the wet weather that will begin to move into this area late Saturday and especially on Sunday and Monday into the Windward Islands specifically. When we look at the European model, this continues to be the one model with a little signal for development before it hits the Lesser Antilles, right? Now, most of the ensemble members don't develop it, but there's a couple that do, so we'll have to monitor that situation. But even on the European model, which is the most aggressive before it gets into the Caribbean, it's a weak system. I don't think there's going to be a lot of appreciable difference, to be honest. I mean, it's likely to come in almost at a tropical depression strength anyway, with some gusty winds from time to time. It's just whether we have a core of those 35-mile-an-hour winds or whether they're going to be embedded within some of the showers and storms that roll into that area. So overall, this is what I expect for this area. Again, the timing from Martinique south to TNT, including Barbados, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, and Nueva Esparta. Sunday into Monday, rain of 2 to 4 inches. That's up to 100 millimeters. So 50 to 100 millimeters. Could there be some higher totals? Absolutely, but fairly widespread, a few inches of rain. 20 to 30 mile an hour sustained winds. From time to time, there'll be some higher gusts and some extremely large swells as well, about 8 to 10 foot swells, especially in the open waters. That's about 2.5 to 3 meters. Obviously, small craft need to be in safe harbor. You need to be exercising caution. You need to find just basically the shelter locations on the island and hunker down and let this system pass through your area. So this is what I expect here for the southern side of the Lesser Antilles Sunday and into Monday. Now let's deep dive into what this system could be doing in the Caribbean. And again, just like I mentioned yesterday, there is not a lot of consensus still in the models, but we'll go model by model, talk about exactly what everything is showing you. We'll start off with the GFS, which is exactly what I was showing you here just a second ago. So we'll pick up the same model. And again, the GFS has been one that more quickly develops this, and two, makes it farther east. Now again, I want to be very clear. If you see that one of the models is pointing a storm in your direction, don't be overly anxious as of yet. We still have plenty of time to monitor this, and you're going to see throughout this video that the models have no agreement whatsoever of where this is headed. What I am slightly concerned about, though, as I mentioned, is that with sea surface temperatures very warm, with very little wind shear, and potentially this system just stalling out in the central or the eastern Caribbean, it might have time to really ramp up and become a stronger storm mid to late next week. And that's what the GFS model is showing as of the last run. So you have the system, again, sloppily moving through the Lesser Antilles, and then it stalls out north of the ABC Islands, south of Hispaniola and Puerto Rico, sits there for a day or two. So this is, next Wednesday, the 22nd, into Thursday and then eventually into Friday, and that's when it begins to wrap up. Now, again, it's pointed up towards Hispaniola and Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands, and it is unfortunately to hurricane strength at this point in time. But again, if you live in these areas, it's still watch and wait mode. Just make sure that you're prepared and you understand, what could be developing here down the road. But some development in all the models in this area is becoming a growing likelihood. So that's the latest of the GFS with the actual reflectivity. This is what it looks like on the wind profile. So same model, we'll just look at the surface-based winds, right? So these will pop on in just a second. Now I'm going to pause this real quickly again, just to show you that in the Lesser Antilles over the weekend, you don't see anything really ramped up, right? This is kind of the broad low-level center that is passing through as we get into Monday morning, but it's all going to be more kind of easterlies that'll be pushing through here. Then watch what happens after we get into it. Here's Tuesday and then into Wednesday. Notice how it puts on the brakes. North of Aruba, south of the Dominican Republic, and that's when it really begins to ramp up late on Thursday and into Friday. And then you start to see these oranges and yellows and greens indicative of a stronger storm. Now, again, what's interesting is as another trough moves in to the Western Caribbean, it tries to pull the storm back north into the east because the surface winds end up becoming south and west. Some of the models indicate that the southwest winds will pick up, other models don't, but the GFS does and actually pushes it back north and east, again, into potentially Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands. I don't want to get into any specific area as of yet, but you get the understanding of what could happen from the GFS. This is the European ensemble members, okay? Again, Monday and into Tuesday, there's not much. This is really slow loop, by the way, but you get the idea. Maybe not until Wednesday we start to see some development, but look at the difference between the GFS and the European model. The GFS is much farther east for most of the ensembles. The European model is much farther west, deeper into the Caribbean, closer to places like Jamaica, closer to Central America, closer to the Cayman Islands. But again, the other problem is that some of these ensemble members produce a very strong storm, a hurricane, right? So we have to also consider the fact that mid to late next week, there's a possibility there could be a hurricane in the Caribbean. We'll see. There's no guarantee whatsoever, but I don't like the trends that I'm seeing in the models. And you guys know I'm doing this daily, keeping an eye on all the model runs. I don't like some of the intensity that the models are beginning to show, especially because, again, the system slows down and it has time to sit over these bathwaters of the Caribbean and just really potentially gain some strength very quickly. This is the AI version of the European model. Again, Tuesday into Wednesday is the first development. It is slightly farther west, but some of the ensemble members, just like the GFS, pull it back east. So there's a little bit broader spread on the AI version here. You have more clustered west, you have some closer to Jamaica, and you have some trying to come back north and east. It's also slower to develop. I had to take this all the way into Saturday, the 25th, to show you that spread. So the AI version of the European model is even slower than the European and then the GFS. This is the GFS ensemble. So again, I showed you the deterministic, which had it here. So what do the ensemble members of the GFS model show? Well, again, some development possible just east of the Lesser Antilles, right? Which interesting is it also picks up an area of low pressure near the monsoon trough, but we can kind of ignore that for now. But then watch again. It is quicker to develop, and it is farther east than the other members. So you have, again, than the models, so Wednesday, Thursday time frame, more towards Hispaniola, more towards Puerto Rico, not as many trying to push it farther off to the west. And a lot of that is with a digging trough and southwesterly winds trying to pull the storm back north and east. Not all the models agree that that is going to be the environment in the Caribbean mid to late week. Google DeepMind, which has done very good this hurricane season. It's a new one, and it is an ensemble product. I gotta say, it's closer to the GFS right now than anything. Look what it does. Your blue line is your ensemble mean, or the average, right? And then what you end up having here is a lot of those ensemble members, again, slow the storm down. Look at all of these blue lines here. That's just a slow storm that eventually gets pulled north and to the east. There are a couple of the ensemble members west towards Jamaica, but most pull the storm back over Hispaniola or closer to Puerto Rico. And again, your blue dots are where that storm would be on the ensemble members next Thursday morning. It's also a little bit quicker than the European model. It is more in line with the GFS at this point in time. But friends, you can clearly see the spread in the models that we're still dealing with, but we would expect this. We don't even have an invest as of yet, but with the Hurricane Center highlighting this, they understand that, down the road, they are likely going to be increasing the chance of development because all of the models continue to show that development. They're getting more in agreement with each other, and their model run-to-run consistency is getting better as well. I haven't changed this graphic since yesterday. I think it all still bears out. What you need to know, an increasing chance of tropical development in the Caribbean next week. Again, it could develop before the Lesser Antilles, but at this point in time, it appears less likely. So a wet, sloppy system moving through there Sunday, Monday. Most models agree on development, but there's still no consensus as to where this will go and how strong it will be. And again, I know some people in the comments might be like, great, he doesn't know where it's going. He doesn't know how strong it's going to be. That answer is yes. But what does bear out of this is you guys have information and you have lead time now. You understand the possibilities that could be coming to portions of the Caribbean mid to late next week. Eastern, Central Caribbean still be in watch and wait mode. Now, if you live in the Windward Islands, right, and you're susceptible to some minor flooding, or you have some kind of marine interest, you might want to make sure you're prepared for that system to be moving through Sunday and Monday. Friends, as we move on, I ask you to take a quick second, hit that like button if you want these latest tropical updates and your forecasts across the Caribbean and the Bahamas. Of course, you found your home. Thanks for taking a quick second and subscribing to the channel, sharing this channel with your family and friends. Appreciate those who are members of the channel. Again, 2 tiers for just 99 cents a month. You can become a member here of Meteo Mundo, and I appreciate all of those who have found ways to support the channel through that avenue as well. Okay, so let's get into what's happening right now, because even ahead of what's going to be coming with this tropical disturbance, we continue to have impactful weather. The persistent trough, especially up in Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands and portions of the northern Lesser Antilles, still bringing some heavy rain and storms, still bringing some gusty winds and some lightning. It's fading a little bit the deeper into this Friday that we go, but we've had impactful flooding rains, and so many of you have commented in that in the last day or two videos here that you've seen some of that. But this trough is beginning to fizzle a bit, thankfully, because if that trough were going to integrate itself into all of this tropical moisture, it would be even worse. But I do think it fades away before it finally moves in. Now, at this point in time, we're a little bit quieter, farther off towards the south. Live look outside to Corinth, St. Lucia. Of course, we have our live cameras here at Meteo Mundo. And as that disturbance moves over the Windward Islands, it's going to be fantastic to show you this live camera. We'll be monitoring that situation for our friends in St. Lucia very closely, but not a bad day. Let me bring on these wind gusts here. I think I actually have. But you get farther north, Dominica and Guadeloupe and Montserrat. Heard from many friends in Antigua that you guys have had some active storms and some potential flooding. Same thing for St. Kitts and Nevis, Barbuda, up towards Anguilla, St. Martin, and St. Bart's. This was a photo from earlier. Claire, the storms over Antigua. First of all, it's just a gorgeous shot. I'm absolutely jealous. What a fantastic look there, but you can clearly see the ominous skies, those low-level clouds. I call them SLCs, those scary-looking clouds. Notice how dark the clouds are. That is indicative of how moisture-laden they are. It's like a wet sponge over portions of the Leeward Islands to squeeze out. So I appreciate Claire sending in that photo. Again, things are improving right now, but it's been a wet past 48 hours. Breezy conditions from time to time across the Virgin Islands. We've again had heftier showers and storms move across that area as well. Breezy conditions towards Fajardo. Of course, we have the live radar here out of Puerto Rico. Let's take a look at that. You're going to continue to see, again, it's broken apart a little bit. Even a little bit earlier today, this rain was a bit more concentrated and widespread. And to show you that, this is a video that Dell took from the Crown Mountain area of St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Look at that light show there. Appreciate Dell sending in this video. Pretty active stuff. Again, a lot of lightning, a lot of instability in the atmosphere here as well. So it's a really neat video that Dell sent in. Just letting this run for a bit because it's a really cool shot. Nice to see those kind of purple hues there as those storms roll through. And this is a live look to Joost Van Dyke, the Soggy Dollar Bar there on the British Virgin Islands. Appreciate our friends at the Soggy Dollar Bar letting us use that camera to help tell the story. Not a bad late Friday here across the area. Earlier, I saw some folks enjoying the shoreline there at the beach. Why not? Fantastic there. So again, it's improving, but it has been some pretty active weather for that region lately. Let's move on. We'll swing our way towards the Dominican Republic and Haiti. And again, this is an area we'll likely continue to see some spotty showers and storms. We still have some flood advisories for portions of the Dominican Republic. This is an area still being more impacted by the trough. Puerto Plata, Santiago de los Caballeros, towards the Samana Peninsula, Azua, Santo Domingo, San Pedro de Macorís, La Romana, Punta Cana, all these storms pushing off towards the south and to the east. Look at the lightning count. These are impressive, heavy convective storms producing copious amounts of rain in a short amount of time. Again, low-lying flooding is not out of the question. We get 50 to 75 millimeters in some spots, up to 3 inches of rain on a daily basis. Scattered thunderstorms over portions of Haiti towards Port-au-Prince and back towards the peninsula towards La Caille. We follow those storms over to my friends in Jamaica, where once again, it has been another very active afternoon. Remember, friends, this trough is elongated right now from west to east. I mean, all the way from the Leeward Islands back to the Cayman Islands. So kind of stalled out like this. And it just so happens that at that latitude, we got a lot of our populated islands, including Jamaica. So thunderstorms, again, efficiently breaking out. We've had thunderstorm at sea warnings almost all day long. The lightning count continues to get more impressive. Let's just take a snapshot of this. Thunderstorms right now, right over the Kingston area. Portmore, Spanish Town, Halfway Tree, Old Harbor, Linstead, Maypen has had some good thunderstorm activity today. Look at the thunderstorm near Ocho Rios at the hour. A lot of interior, hillier sections, heavy rain and storms. Some of that building off towards the west. A little bit quieter right now. Montego Bay, Lucy and Negril, Sav-la-Mar. So again, if you've caught some of these thunderstorms, Clarendon, St. Catherine, St. Andrew, Kingston, St. Anne, St. Mary, probably even the western sides of Portland and St. Thomas parishes. Let me know in the comments section below. And even earlier today, out west, we got a few thunderstorms. Again, it's just widespread, very efficient indeed. There was more rain and storms near Grand Cayman earlier today. Those have pushed south. That's where the trough is going. The trough is trying to push off towards the south. It's allowing a few thunderstorms at the hour to develop across coastal sections of the Yucatan, back down towards Belize and Guatemala and the Bay Islands of Honduras. This is all going to be much more localized activity. It's not going to be as organized, but from Cancun to Cozumel, Belize City, back towards Roatan, Utila, and Guanaja, certainly the opportunity for a couple of storms here and there. Man, is it a gorgeous day in the Bahamas. I promise you, the satellite imagery is still running. This is the visible satellite imagery. There's actually some cloud coverage over the central and the southeast sides of the islands, but temperatures today with a northerly breeze have just been picture perfect. It's the lower 80s with relatively low humidity. Now, not those temperatures. Let me move that real quick. Look at Freeport right now. They've dropped back down to the upper 70s late on this Friday. Again, we've had some cloud coverage here and there across the islands, but it's a beautiful shot, Central Eleuthera and the Bahamas. Again, a little bit of a breeze, but not bad whatsoever. Another area we're going to talk about, swing on over to my friends in the ABC Islands. Now look, it's hotter there, but we've had some localized thunderstorms. Look at the blow up here on the visible satellite imagery. It's great to see. Bonaire, portions of Curacao, portions of Aruba, all the islands have had some heavy rain and storms. It's been localized. Not everyone has gotten it, but that opportunity has been here, especially earlier on this Friday. This is a live look outside to Oranjestad in the Eagle Beach area. At this point in time, it's nice and quiet. We've cleared back out. But earlier in the day, Jaden sent in this photo from the San Nicolas area, said we didn't get rain right over the house, but we've had some showers and storms nearby. And many of you in the ABC Islands have given me those same comments. So if you've got some of that beneficial rain in the ABC Islands, please let me know in the comments section below. Excuse me real quick. Quick sip of my tea and we're going to move on. So now I want to get into the island by island rainfall forecast. So again, let me go wide. Ignore that, as I've already said several times. I'm going to have a word, as they say, with the authorities. I'm just going to take the model and go over the next few days, and then we'll move on from here, right? Now, you notice that I haven't mentioned, and this is true, that the Hurricane Center has put a little 10% area with that nor'easter low coming off the United States East Coast. It's not going to impact anyone directly. Could be a subtropical system. Remember, they get names. Could that be Melissa, which is the next name storm? It's possible. More than likely, it's the Caribbean storm that gets Melissa, and this one doesn't evolve. It's still bringing some fresh winds. Real quickly here before we move on, the winds in Bermuda today, by the way, I want to point this out, have been over 55 miles an hour. So this is significant. It's something that I wanted to mention earlier, so I apologize for not. But as of just the last couple of hours, they've had 55-mile-an-hour winds in Bermuda. So if you guys live on Bermuda, let me know in the comment section below as well. But this nor'easter is a windbag, and that's exactly what it's doing right now in Bermuda. So it shows you just how powerful that low is, but it's non-tropical in nature, right? It's spinning away and it's moving into the North Atlantic. So appreciably here, obviously, we're going to continue to get the opportunity for some pretty nasty storms throughout the Lesser Antilles, but especially in the Windward Islands. Moisture content is very high here. This is the areas that I expect the most widespread heavy rain, spreading over Nueva Esparta. Eventually down the road, the ABC Islands are likely to also get into better rain chances. Scattered showers and storms for Hispaniola, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the rest of the Lesser Antilles. Turks and Caicos will run into a few showers. You could see a spotty shower in the central and the northern Bahamas, but likely many dry hours and locations. I'm still expecting good rain chances to continue, just like they have been lately for Jamaica. And obviously, dependent on where this tropical system goes next week, it's going to carry high rain chances and exceptional rainfall totals in these spots. Jamaica could be included in that. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Cayman Islands will stay with at least with some scattered showers and storms. Same situation over Cuba. Expecting it to be, again, more localized over Quintana Roo and most of the Central American areas, especially north, Belize, Guatemala, Honduras. There'll be some rain over the weekend, but you're going to have an opportunity to get outside and enjoy whatever you need to. Rain chances will be higher down towards Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama. And again, our monsoon trough. You always see a little bit of spin here. I'll monitor the situation. I'm not expecting anything to crank up tropically there outside of just the daily showers and storms. So you get the idea, my friends. For most areas, it's going to be wet. We'll start off with some of the drier spots, though. That's the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. Though in Turks and Caicos, it will build to a 40% chance on Monday. Moderate rain chances across Cuba, solid rain chances and a few storms across the Cayman Islands for the weekend ahead. Scattered to isolated showers and storms for Belize. Got about a 40% chance Cancun and Cozumel. Again, nothing is very organized. There'll be some pop-up storms here or there across the Yucatan, but Jamaica's rain chances stay high. Locally heavy downpours. A lot of lightning can still come along for the ride. Dominican Republic's rain chances will fade a bit as that trough begins to break apart. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands rain chances are high tomorrow, lower Sunday, and then again, more moisture kind of streaming back in on Monday to up the rain chance. Bermuda will start to dry out, and luckily the winds will start to diminish throughout the weekend as well. Anguilla's rain chances, a 40% chance over the weekend, 60 on Monday. Building rain chances in St. Kitts and Nevis on Monday as well after a drier weekend, which of course is good after all the rain that we've seen in this area the last 48 hours. Same situation for Antigua, Barbuda, Montserrat, and Guadeloupe. Now you get Dominica south and you start to get more direct impacts from our tropical disturbance. So rain chances will be higher in these areas Sunday and especially into Monday, the farther south that you go. Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, an exceptionally high chance for some rain and some locally heavy rain and downpours as well. Scattered, again, tomorrow, Barbados, Grenada, Trinidad and Tobago, but then very high on Sunday and Monday, 80 to a 90% chance. Suriname and Guyana's rain chances also go up high. Again, a lot of moisture just streaming through this entire area. Nueva Esparta's rain chances go up. Could be some very high rain totals near the Nueva Esparta area on Monday, at least a good opportunity for rain. And then building rain chances tomorrow, drier Sunday, and then back to a 40% chance for the ABC Islands on Monday. When we look at the significant wave heights, obviously how this system evolves is going to play a big role in this, but you're just going to see elevated sea conditions across the Eastern Caribbean and the Western Atlantic in general. Don't be surprised where you live if you're near these areas. You have small craft advisories, you have high surf advisories, you have swell advisories, marine advisories. Wherever you live and however your local government and officials word marine advisories, expect those to be hoisted in your area for the next few days to come, and down the road we'll just see. But again, this is based off of the GFS model, so you're going to see the waves really kick up as that storm flares up in the Eastern Caribbean. And of course, exactly where it's going, we just don't know as of this point in time. But look at the amount of rain the European model shows throughout the entire Caribbean, right? Entire Caribbean basin is just moisture loaded with what's going to be moving through, including the Antilles, Greater Antilles, Caribbean, out towards Central America and the Yucatan, Jamaica, Southeast Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. You get the idea. That's only the central and the northern Bahamas that might see less than an inch of rain for the week ahead. Many spots, if you look at this, 2, 3, 4, 6, 8 plus inches of rain. I think the highest number on here is 20. Now that might be into the Pacific, but it's close. Let's hope we don't get that, but 8, 10 plus inches of rain wherever this develops, because it's going to be slow moving. Not out of the question whatsoever. Friends, you know I'm going to keep you updated. All you got to do is follow us across our social media platforms. We are on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it is mymeteomundo@gmail.com. Real quick note about sending me a picture or video. Several of you today sent me emails without any pictures or videos attached. Just remember to attach those pictures or videos. I always love to hear from you guys, but I know you want to send me those pictures as well. Please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the lead law firm of Central Florida, Hometown Homeowners Insurance Attorney. Storm season is here. You get storm damage of any kind, wind, hail, hurricane, even been in an auto accident. They're not a one-trick pony. They got you covered. They walk you through that insurance claim process. You go to leanomelaw.com for more information. You have a question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. And while you're down there, I really do appreciate you guys liking and subscribing. Obviously, I'm keeping a very close eye on what is evolving here close to our area for the weekend ahead and through next week. I've got you covered. I'll see you tomorrow with the latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.